Nzinga was born in 1583 in the Kingdom of Ndongo, located in present-day Angola. This was a time of great turmoil as European powers, particularly the Portuguese, sought to control African lands and capture slaves. Nzinga rose to power in a male-dominated society, proving to be a fierce diplomat and a brilliant military strategist. She formed alliances with neighboring tribes and even with the Dutch, opposing Portuguese colonization at every turn. Her reign became a symbol of African resistance. One of the most infamous aspects of Nzinga's reign was her ritual. Men, sometimes warriors, other times captives, were chosen and forced to fight each other in an arena. The rules were simple. Only one could survive. The victor was rewarded with the honor of spending the night with the queen. However, this reward came with a deadly twist. By morning, the winner was executed. Historians have debated the meaning of this ritual. Was it a demonstration of power in a patriarchal society? A way to ensure loyalty through fear? Or perhaps a spiritual tradition with a deeper symbolic meaning? Whatever the reason, it solidified Nzinga's reputation as a ruler who could not be challenged. Nzinga's ritual is just one part of her complex legacy. She was much more than this practice. She was a symbol of resilience and strength. Nzinga's ability to outmaneuver her enemies and protect her people has made her an enduring figure in African history. Her story continues to inspire, appearing in literature, art, and even activism. While the ritual may shock us today, it highlights the complexities of leadership during a time of constant threat and struggle. The story of Nzinga Mbande is one of courage, strategy, and unyielding power. Her ritual may seem brutal, but it reflected the harsh realities of her time. What do you think about Nzinga's legacy? Was she a ruthless queen or a necessary defender of her people? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to hear more incredible stories like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you're only interested in the ritual, skip to minute 6, but I warn you, the context of the entire video is important. Now let's dive into the video. The Portuguese appetite for conquest was insatiable. Their ambitions knew no bounds, driven by an unrelenting desire to expand their empire and accumulate wealth. Their eyes were set on the rich lands of Africa, where they believed untold riches awaited them. They saw the kingdoms of Ndongo and Matamba as prizes, rich in resources and ripe for exploitation. The Portuguese viewed them through a lens of greed and domination, seeing only the potential for profit and power. The transatlantic slave trade was a dark stain. The Portuguese saw the opportunity to profit from the capture and sale of Africans. This brutal trade tore families apart and left a legacy of suffering and trauma. Nzinga knew the danger these invaders posed. She understood that the Portuguese were not just seeking trade. They were determined to dominate and subjugate. Nzinga's insight and strategic mind made her a formidable opponent. She had witnessed their brutality firsthand. The devastation they left in their wake was a stark reminder of what was at stake. Nzinga's resolve was hardened by these experiences, fueling her determination to protect her people. The Portuguese, armed with gunpowder and driven by greed, posed a significant threat. Nzinga knew that firepower was not the only factor in war. She believed in the strength and resilience of her warriors. Nzinga was not one to back down from a fight. She chose to resist. Her spirit was unyielding, and her leadership inspired those around her. She rallied her people, instilling in them a sense of purpose and unity. Her military strategies were shrewd and effective. Nzinga was a master strategist, using her deep knowledge of the land and her enemies to outmaneuver the Portuguese. She employed guerrilla tactics, striking quickly and disappearing into the terrain. She formed alliances with neighboring kingdoms, understanding that a united front was essential against a common enemy. Nzinga's diplomatic skills were as sharp as her military acumen. These alliances were crucial in presenting a formidable resistance to the Portuguese. Nzinga also mastered the art of guerrilla warfare, using her knowledge of the terrain to launch surprise attacks and disrupt Portuguese supply lines. Her unconventional tactics kept the invaders off balance. She knew she couldn't defeat them in a conventional battle, so she made them bleed for every inch of ground. Nzinga's approach was one of attrition, wearing down the Portuguese forces through relentless harassment and strategic strikes. But Nzinga's brilliance was not limited to the battlefield. She was a visionary leader who understood the importance of diplomacy and the art of governance. Her ability to negotiate and form alliances was fundamental in her efforts to resist Portuguese colonization. She was a shrewd diplomat, adept at navigating the treacherous waters of international relations. Nzinga's diplomatic efforts extended beyond the African continent, as she sought to gain the support of European powers that were rivals of Portugal. She understood that to defeat the Portuguese, she needed to isolate them on the world stage. Nzinga's strategy involved not only military resistance, but also a sophisticated campaign of diplomacy and propaganda. She worked to undermine Portuguese influence and build a network of allies who shared her goal of preserving African sovereignty. In the annals of history, the name of Nzinga Mbande is forever linked to a controversial ritual. A ritual that has sparked debate and fascination for centuries. In the royal court, men fought to the death. The prize? A single night with the queen. The cost? Their life. Imagine the scene, the tension in the air charged with anticipation and dread. Two warriors, chosen for their strength and skill, circle each other in a sandy arena. The crowd watches in silent captivation. The metallic sound of swords clashing resonates. A deadly ballet of attack and parry. Every move could be the last. The victor, drenched in sweat and blood, would earn the queen's favor. He would share a feast with her, engage in intimate conversation, and spend the night in her chambers. It was a night of fleeting glory and primal connection. But as the sun rose, so did the reality of his fate. The victor was executed at dawn. The reason for this ritual, shrouded in mystery and open to interpretation? Was this ritual an act of indescribable cruelty? Or was it something more complex, a multifaceted display of power and tradition that we struggle to fully understand today? Or was it a calculated display of power intended to instill fear and loyalty, the very essence of leadership in an era where strength was the ultimate currency? The true motivations behind Nzinga's deadly ritual remain a subject of intense debate among historians. Each theory offers a different lens through which to view her actions, reflecting the complexity of her character and the era in which she lived. Some scholars believe it was a brutal assertion of dominance, a way to show that she was not to be taken lightly, that her authority was absolute and unquestionable. By executing the victor, Nzinga demonstrated that she answered to no one. This act of cruelty was a clear message. Loyalty to the queen was paramount. Others interpret the ritual through a spiritual lens. They see it as a deeply rooted tradition, a practice that transcended mere politics. In many African cultures, the shedding of blood had profound spiritual significance, often seen as a way to appease ancestors or restore the balance of the universe. It is possible that Nzinga saw the ritual as a necessary sacrifice, a way to ensure the prosperity of her kingdom. There are also those who believe the ritual was a calculated strategy to maintain control over ambitious men within her court. By pitting them against each other, Nzinga ensured that no man could accumulate enough power to challenge her rule. The promise of a night with the queen served as a powerful motivator, driving men to demonstrate their loyalty in the most extreme way imaginable. The truth, like many historical mysteries, is probably a complex tapestry woven with all these threads. Each interpretation adds a layer of understanding. Nzinga Mbande was a woman of contradictions, a brilliant strategist, a ruthless leader, and a devout believer in the traditions of her ancestors. Her deadly ritual, as disturbing as it may be, offers a glimpse into the intricate workings of her mind and the relentless times in which she lived.